This is how most of us know the Trinity River, natural beauty flowing right through North Texas. But tonight that beauty's at risk, and the reason? Growing junkyards.
In fact, there's so much junk, ugly, ruined tires. They're cascading into the tranquil Trinity in South Dallas. So who is responsible? Well, buckle up. We're wading into some choppy government waters as News 8's Brett Shipp investigates.
For decades, the land along Dowdy Ferry Road in southern Dallas County has been home to a nature preserve, a lush wooded thicket along the Trinity River and the Dallas Hunting and Fishing Club. There's the old Whittle feed store where real cowboys come buy supplies and the critters still roam out back. But the neighborhood is changing. The woods and pasture lands along Dowdy Ferry Road are being swallowed by acres of auto salvage yards. Longtime residents and business owners like Wanda Boyce of the Whittle Feed Store are not happy.
Oh, it's disappointing.
Why?
Well, it's just not the pretty area. It's either fences, walls up with wrecked cars behind it, or seeing wrecked cars on the side of the road. As you drive down, there's none of the rural open area anymore. It's cars to cars to cars.
Ben Eastep owns Metro Lawn Care just up the road.
They spill stuff, the chemicals and the oil and all that stuff that are going in the ground. It's real obvious that they're not complying to anything.
Not complying with this. Dallas County Court Order 2010-0913, adopted by county commissioners in May of 2010, taking a stand against salvage yards and mandating solid barrier fences at least 8 feet high, such that the contents cannot reasonably be seen from an adjacent street or property.
There is no 8-foot fencing, which you can't see through, as well as there's a number of vehicles here stacked right up on the road.
Come with us on a drive with Dowdy Ferry resident John Cook.
As you can still see it out of compliance because of the lack of any fencing, front, side, or back. Cars have been stacked up 3 and 4 high in the back behind the secondary fencing, out of compliance.
In January, 2 months later, the Dallas County Fire Marshal responded by raiding the salvage yards, finding them not only out of compliance, but operating without a county permit. They were all padlocked for 2 weeks and reopened when they all agreed to come into compliance. Today, 8 months later, residents say the salvage yards are worse. Even more crushed cars still stacked over 8 feet high, a lava flow of junk tires spilling down into the neighboring Trinity River. Auto fluids still leak onto the ground.
What first got my attention was the smell, where you could smell gasoline, ethylene glycol, the smell of antifreeze wafting over Dowdy Ferry Road.
An environmentalist, Ben Sandifer, who has been documenting the salvage yard pollution for years, has filed a complaint with state regulators, and he's fuming.
And it almost broke my heart several weeks later to see all those companies back open for business. It makes no sense because the conditions didn't change.
And that's not all. News 8 has learned that only one of the 10 salvage businesses on this short stretch of road has obtained its operations permit. The attorney representing several of the businesses say permit applications have been filed and are awaiting approval. All of the land is either owned or leased by this man, Chris Nasrallah, who at first was not happy to see us.
Oh yeah.
Brett Shipp for Channel 8.
Yeah, I know. How you doing?
Hey, we're doing a story on your properties.
Why are you doing a story on my properties?
Which one of these?
Sir, you cannot put...
Don't touch the camera, sir.
But a short time later, Nasrallah admitted that most of the businesses on his land are not compliant with that court order, despite his efforts to convince them. Court Order 0913.
Okay.
2010-0913. Are you familiar with this?
Hold on a minute.
Yes.
I agree with this.
Okay.
But let me tell you this. You didn't talk to Fire Marshal.
So we did. Dallas County Fire Marshal Robert De Los Santos is charged with enforcing the rules governing salvage yards. Remember, it was the fire marshal who first padlocked the yards last January. But 2 weeks later, Dallas County Civil District Attorney allowed them to reopen after operators agreed to come into compliance. But the lack of permits, the lack of fences, the stacked cars and tires still along Dowdy Ferry Road provides compelling evidence. They never did. The mystery remains as to why.
You have tried, you have gone out there and physically padlocked those businesses, and then you were told to unpadlock those businesses, right?
Yes, sir.
Who told you to unpadlock the business?
Well, again, you know, we were talked, and we met with the civil district attorney's office, and we were, you know, there was negotiations being made, so we were able to.
So we need to go talk to the civil DA.
I guess. Yes.
Well, late today, I spoke with the chief of the Civil Division of the Dallas County District Attorney's Office. His response, you guessed it, the fire marshal is in charge of enforcement, not his office. So here it is, 5.5 months after we first started asking questions about the lack of salvage yard enforcement, and not one county official has stepped up to take responsibility. And tonight, the unpermitted junk car crushing on Dowdy Ferry Road continues. Brett Shipp, Channel 8 News.
Thank you, Brett. If you have something you want our investigative team to look into, send them your tips. Their email is investigates@wfaa.com.